Hey everyone, welcome to another recap chat. We are talking 90 Day Fiance, and this is Irene, CBiz Media. 90 Day Fiance is a reality show that follows couples, one person's from the US, the other from another country. We see their ups and downs, we see challenges with long distances as well as culture barriers, language boundaries, as well as the whole 90-day visa process of marrying someone in another country, all those legal ramifications, some of those roadblocks. This is 90 Day Fiance. We're going to start with Amani, Matt, and Ani, who's the missing link at this point. Ani was not in the episode, and honestly, I didn't miss her. Matt was reeling over the news that Ani loves Amani more, and he felt pain around this situation. He felt mostly because they hid this information from him, especially his wife. So he FaceTimes one of his friends, Eric, who's also on the poly lifestyle, and he tells him all the deets. And Eric's like, you guys need to put a pause on these things. Jealousy can be an issue here. You look like you're the third wheel, and I totally agree with Eric. This was a great I'll say examination of the situation. He was talking about how it was fun and exciting at first, but he's not sure if his wife is going to draw closer to his girlfriend and he's going to be left out of the situation. Eric says you could lose it. You could lose everything. I mean, if she falls for her and wants to leave you could lose your family. Then talk to your wife, be honest about the situation. Like, wow, I didn't really think about the fact he could lose his family, but it's definitely a possibility. That's why I think this thruppling thing is probably a game that everyone shouldn't play. Everybody's head's not into this thing. Everybody's heart's not into this thing. And at some point, Armani appeared to be the third wheel when he slept with Ani without her knowledge. So who's playing third wheel here? To me, Ani seems like she has all the cards in her hand, and she's got all the control over both of these people. So when Amani wakes up, she sees that he's out there on the phone, and she thinks he's talking stuff about her. She doesn't want to deal with that, so she's gonna go out on the beach. And so he goes after her a little bit later, and they discuss what happened last night. And he's just basically saying it's not acceptable for him to be in this situation, and it's imbalanced, that she doesn't love me. And she said, well, I said she doesn't love you as much. And he's like, well, if you guys are bonded, then bring me into it and don't push me out. And she's like, well, remember the good times, don't switch up on me, let's keep this thing going. But he said, I'm giving up my family and everything for this, possibly dismantling my family to be with this person and add this person to my life. So there's a lot at stake. And Amani says, there's no relationship without you. I'm not going to just carry on this relationship without you. So you don't have to worry about me dropping you. And he's like, yeah, well, you just have my back. And she said, always. So it looks like, they're going to have each other's back, which should be the case. But why put yourself in a situation like this? It's like they're putting their family in harm's way. They got small kids. It's a lot just to carry on this relationship. I'm not into this type of lifestyle at all. But why do they have to have such a permanent situation? Honestly, it should have been something that, again, I wouldn't do it, but you need to take your time, get to know this person, have fun. They said it was fun in the beginning. I think this is probably a process that probably should take years for you to figure out what you're going to do and if you're going to add this person into your life versus a shorter period of time because you think you're in love. I think everything just has to be put in perspective here, and they just really need to slow down. They're doing too much to put this person in their life, which she has basically not acknowledged them in any scenario, but she's saying that she's in the Amani more, but she's telling her family that she's with Matt. So to me, it's a lot of confusion. She's at least acknowledging Matt as her person. So it's really confusing. And Ani, again, has the cards. Um, I don't know. What's like I said, the cards all on her table. I don't think that makes sense. She has the ball in her court, basically, and it's all on her. She's pulling these people's strings, man, and I think they need to get washed to the situation. All right, let's go to Shekinah and Sarper. So last we saw them, Sarper was meeting the sisters, even the one that he really was disrespectful to when she came to Turkey to meet him there. So his previous comments before we left off last time was saying, he kind of missed the old Shekinah, the obedient Shekinah, and that remark kind of swept the table. The sisters weren't feeling that. Then they were going on to his anger issues about him grabbing things. I think he grabbed her phone at one point. They showed him um, in the beginning grab the lollipop out of her mouth and throw it on the floor. That was so dumb. I don't even know why she had a lollipop. I feel like that was a prop. I'm sorry. I honestly feel like that was a setup and a prop. Anyway, I remember that. That was like early on in their relationship. And they do ask him again about his anger issues. Says many men have anger issues. But she kind of like, no, but it's not right, and it's not right to react in a certain way. The sisters are like, you need to reassure her, you need to grow and respect to kind of improve this relationship. And he does acknowledge he has a lot to prove. He's been saying that since day one. He does admit before he didn't really care what her family thought. That was in the beginning, and he was rude. But at that point, when the sister came up there, they're pointing out that they were only together for like 10 days. At that point, they had not, and that was only the second time they met. So their relationship was pretty new. Yet and still, that's not putting your best foot forward when you're meeting somebody's family for the first time. You're not even trying to put on a good look. So it still doesn't look good. But they're saying it's going to take time. I guess they're going to see what he does. They see that, I don't know if they say they really feel he progressed, but they feel like at least he's saying some of the right things. They said the interrogation is done. The interrogation is cleared. I guess that's what Sarper was saying. He does apologize again to the sister that he was rude to. Everything seems cool as they leave, but, the sister that was upset by him when they met the first time said it does seem rehearsed. She's not sure if he's genuine, and she hopes that he really does change. Sarper said he struggled reading the room. He didn't know how they were feeling. And even she kind of also has some concerns about things that he needs to improve. And it's kind of going to be a wait and see situation when it comes to her sisters, and probably when it comes to her. So it seems like they had a good trip. And I think she brought him coffee while they were at the Airbnb, and he called her his geisha again, which I really don't care about that. If you want guys feel like that's a role play moment for you, that's your choice. As long as it's not other ways where he's manifesting misogynistic type behaviors. So a week later, out of nowhere, they share some audio with us, and he's saying he has a problem with her face. She's like, what's your problem? He's like, I have a problem with your face. I hate this life. I want to go back to my country. They get into this argument, this disagreement, and now he's on the couch, and she's packing up her space, her workspace, so she can try to just make it be a living space. He went to FaceTime his cousin and told her, hey, I booked my flight. And he's gonna be with up to 3,500 women after Shekinah, because I think his record was like 2,500 before. Shekinah said, well, he said some things need to change in order for him to stick around, but it's up to her. So to me, this disagreement is like, to me, out of nowhere. I'm like, well, what are they disagreeing about? They're just arguing out of nowhere. He said things started to add up, and I believe it is the living situation. That's probably why she's trying to pack her workspace and move it somewhere else. And she said, they used to argue in the past at his place, but now this is my house, and I really don't have anywhere to run. This is just a hard situation. So are they going to last? Are they going to make it through the 90 days? We don't know. This argument just comes out of nowhere. Maybe next week it'll be more clarification of exactly what's going on. But I really do think it's the buildup of having to live in that scenario that he's living in and not being able to go anywhere. I mean, when you're in another country and you don't have the right to work, there's so many rights you don't have yet, you have to obtain. And he's not able to go out on his own. Who knows their vehicle situation? I guess he could get an Uber. It's just us trying to refigure out who you are and refigure out life. It can be a huge adjustment, and sometimes it can be just very difficult. But the important thing to know is that it's temporary, and once you do get on your feet as a couple and you're able to get your visa and all that stuff, that you're gonna find your new normal. But he just has to have the patience to get there, and so does she. I don't know. He just got angry out of nowhere, start cussing her. I don't get it. If this is going to be a pattern, because I remember the other time they got in an argument where he grabbed her phone, and that came out of nowhere too. So if we're going to have these out of nowhere crazy arguments ever so often, uh, can you deal with that? Can you put up with that? If it's something that's all rare, can you deal with it? Is it something that you guys can put back together? Fine. But if it's something that is just random and unexplained and you don't know why he's going off and it's his fault all the time or it's her fault all the time, then we have a situation to deal with. I don't even know if I would like to carry on with something like that, if that's what it is. But being in a new situation like this is good. It's a high stress issue, a high stress situation. It's understandable that there's going to be some friction. This is not going to be the smoothest, easiest process, because that's just life. And this is a very jarring to go from one country to another and not be able to do anything and be completely dependent on your American partner. So that's the thing right now. Not sure if they just are doing something staged so that they can be more interesting. Not really sure what they're doing, because Sarper was being a very good boy on his best behavior for a little while now. A little disappointed, but it's just coming out of nowhere. I need some explanations, or I'm just going to think you guys are just coming up with something just to entertain us and stay on the show. They may be like, people aren't talking about us anymore, Sarper. We got to do something. I don't know. So, Greg and Joan, we are back with those two, and Lucille comes upstairs to talk with them. And Greg's room looks remarkable. You see Joan looks like somewhere in the closet area with a robe on. Mom's like, did you take another shower? She's like, checking on the showers a little bit too much. It was a little bit uncomfy, a little awkward when she called her the royal showers, because she's like, I can't see how someone takes 2 showers a day, and everybody has different cleaning habits of their body. I don't know why she's so hung up on the showers. I mean, it's her choice. And now she said 3. At one point, I thought she said 3. Now, to me, I think that's a bit excessive. I've heard of 2, 3, maybe not so much, depending on, okay, if there's a certain type of work you do. If her country was very warm, I know that, where they live in Jersey or something, I don't think it's that warm there. And I'm sure they have air conditioning, so I don't get if she has to do 3 showers. But 2, I assume that's acceptable. But everybody has their own ways, right? It's like an episode of Seinfeld, really, an argument about nothing. But anyway, Mom's cool. She says she's been trying to get Greg to actually clean his room for years. And Joan says, well, he's able to do it. Once he puts his mind to whatever he's going to do, he can do it. And I think she's trying to just give Joan a little note of, hey, you should have been a better mom. I was feeling a bit of a vibe of that there. As far as, she's a great mom, a little bit too great, to the point where she never knew how to cut those strings and just let him do stuff on his own. I'm not going to say she was totally that mom, but it's a lot of that there. So they're supposed to be having their wedding at her house, but she's like, you know what? I think you guys should go to a hall instead. And I think they're put off by that. She said that she would have been overwhelmed without any help at the house. She would have been basically in charge of doing everything, and it would be too much on her. So they're talking about the budget, and mom checked and she said, I actually looked up this place, so let's go check it out. Everything's included from soup to nuts, right? So she said she wants them to have a nice wedding, and Joan says she wants a nice wedding, but she does want to save money instead. It would be better to save money. So what he has is about 5K, and she's like, mom is like, that's not enough for 75 people for a wedding. And then Joan's like, but he has to also cover this dowry as well. And mom has issue with the dowry. She has issue with the showers, and she has issue with this dowry, right? She says, why does he have to do this dowry? Give him a break here. And she says, well, can't we factor in your daily needs while you're staying here? Can't that be part of the dowry? And isn't that enough to show that he's taking care of you, that he's doing this daily? Why does the dowry have to be in place? But she said, no, you must follow my culture. And Greg says the same thing. He says they've been doing this for what, hundreds of thousands of years. They're not going to change the rules for him. It's a part of her culture. I totally get it, but mom's gonna be mom, right? She's gonna want her baby to not go through too much. So they went to the wedding venue, but Joan's still in her mind, and I think they both were like, we should do this at home so we can save money, right? So they go to this place called the Marconi Manor. This has like an Italian vibe. They play Italian music. It's a beautiful spot. It looks really nice. And Joan and Greg make this joke about, well, if we were doing the wedding in your country, like, where would the cows go though if we're doing it here? Where would the cows go? And they're like, the cows will be in the parking lot, and the people can go confirm. If they want to see the cows, they can go confirm and go to the parking lot and look at the cows. Maybe that would be an interesting thing to add to your wedding, but just a little jokey joke between the two of them. So the guy lets them know, the place, it's a real nice looking venue. It's going to be 8 to 9K for everything. And Joan says it's beautiful, but it's, a lot. And yeah, it would go over his 5K budget. But out of nowhere, Mama Lucille, she does something so beautiful. I just want to hug her, and I'll say, you can be my second mom, Lucille. Shout out to my mom, London. But she offers to pay with his dad. So his dad's going to pitch in. And she's telling him, oh, if you can just put in 1K, we'll do the rest. And they're like, we don't want to be a burden. And mom and son are kind of crying, and they both kind of look alike. And I know she's vibing for her son, showing love to her son. Like, this is her namesake, her face sake. Like, she's trying to give it all for her son, who's about to get married to someone that's supposed to be the love of his life. It's so sweet. It's a crying moment. To me, Joan is giving face, and to me, I don't feel like she's not being heartfelt in the moment. To me, she's a bit standoffish and looks like she has a bit of an attitude. Not sure where that is coming from. She hugs her son, and then she does accept the hug from Joan does accept the hug from Lucille, but I don't really know. I mean, she says thank you and stuff, but I don't feel the gratefulness. So maybe that'll change in the upcoming moments. But, Joan again said, hey, we're being a burden. She's like, no, you're not being a burden. You actually do help around the house. We see you help a lot, so it's a good thing. So she's making both of them feel good about the situation and helping them with this wedding. So I thought that was a really heartfelt moment, and I really love Lucille now. To me, she can do no wrong. I think Joan could be a little nicer. And hopefully, after this wedding, mom's hands can be totally off the situation, and they can live their life together, and they can actually do some cool, nice stuff for mom. That will be a wonderful turn of events. Okay, let's get into Sean and Aaliyah. So it starts off with this new dog toy that the dog has. I think they got it at that drugstore they were at, and the dog toy was keeping Sean up all night, and it was a nightmare. And also, it was an eyelash attached to the actual dog, so that was kind of a running joke about Aaliyah's eyelash being attached to the dog. How did this happen? I thought Aaliyah was a germaphobe. The dog is like all up in her eye. What's happening? Or did the eyelash fall off and then the dog got into it? I don't know. But they're getting ready for their engagement slash surprise engagement party because no one really knows they're engaged. But his mom, friends know bits and pieces of things, but no one knows the whole deal, right? So he said, you have lots of explaining to do, Lucy, like I Love Lucy, right? You have lots of explaining to do, Lucy, but she doesn't know anything about I Love Lucy. She's only 25 and she's not from America. So he said this joke is wasted. And she's like, yeah, I don't know this. This is old humor anyway. I mean, it is pretty old. I Love Lucy is an old show. I'm not old, but I'm old enough to know that show. Anyway, she doesn't want Sean to make these jokes, especially around people when it comes to her, how he makes some of those jokes about her not understanding things because of her culture, because of her age. This is the first time that she'll be meeting them, so she doesn't want to feel uncomfortable and like the butt of the joke at this party, meeting these people for the first time. She wants to make a good first impression, of course, and it's supposed to be an engagement party, so she doesn't really like that he didn't tell anybody, and these jokes about that as well. He does make some bad culture and age jokes that I really don't like. Honestly, I understand where you're coming from, Aaliyah. Sometimes the jokes are a little bit over the top and antiquated and negative. But Aaliyah says that she's going to need more from Sean and be a little bit more serious. This is a serious moment. She needs Sean to put in a little more effort. So they go on the trip towards this engagement party venue. It's a quiet town, and Aaliyah's like, this reminds me of those crazy horror movies where everything's quiet, but somebody's gonna lose a leg, an arm, something crazy's gonna happen. Even though Sean hates those movies, Aaliyah loves them. Well, maybe something crazy will happen at you guys' engagement party, but hopefully not the loss of any limbs. So they ended up at Sean's mom's house, Jean, and they have like a warm, teary-eyed, heartfelt welcome. So they have a lot of closeness. I guess they've been talking over time. So they really have a bond. And they brought their dog. So they also get to meet mom's dog, which actually does fit in Aaliyah's arms, but I wouldn't say it was a toy dog. That dog was a little big to me. Then Jean, Sean's mom, shows all this Christmas stuff, and she has all these collections, kind of like the son does. So Aaliyah's putting that together, saying, you guys are kind of like when you guys have a bunch of collections of stuff. And he's like, well, I have about a fourth of what my mom has, but my mom has too much stuff, but I have about a fourth. No, you guys are probably pretty much the same. I mean, like mother, like son is how it is. So Aaliyah goes out and gets a gift, the gift that was in the car for mom. And mom's like, are you nervous about tomorrow? And he's like, well, yeah, I guess so. I have some friends that I've kind of told about the situation, about the transgender situation. And some of them their attitudes were negative, and I didn't expect them to be that way. So I've kind of kept us in a bubble of protection because I don't want people putting their opinions on us. And mom's like, I don't care what you do your whole life. I just want to make sure you're happy. As long as you're happy, are you 100% happy? So of course, no one's 100% happy, which is completely correct. But he doesn't want to be 60% happy. And that's it. There's still some unanswered things and concerns. But they're going forward. So they're getting ready for the party, and of course Aaliyah's taken a million years, and he says it reminds him of when he had an actual wife, and the wife was getting ready and it took a long time. He said this is going to be like a gender reveal and coming out party. It's going to be a lot at that party. Because for those of you that don't know and haven't been following, Aaliyah is a transgender woman at this point. When they met, Aaliyah was Douglas, and Sean was totally in love with Douglas and now has to try to fall in love with Aaliyah. That's the scenario. So they arrive at this outdoor party. His friend Alfred greets them. Mom points out that they really are late. really, really late. But everybody's happy to see them. We meet Sean's daughter Kayla, his son Austin Patrick. Um, the welcoming, everybody was very welcoming and hugging both of them. And Aaliyah says, was nervous actually about would people like her and all of that, but it appears that everyone was cool with Aaliyah, and they were surprised, but they were seemed to be accepting of Aaliyah. So now she could take a deep breath. That part of everything is over. During the dinner, one of the friends, I believe his name is Alfred, that's his friend, he kind of calls out the scenario like, well, why are you just now letting us meet this person for the first time? And this is supposed to be an engagement party. What's up? When's the wedding? All this. The wedding's about really like a month away. There is a concern for his friend Alfred, who pulls him to the side and says, as far as the older, younger scenario, Aaliyah is just now discovering fully that they want to now be a woman. Aaliyah's only 25, hasn't had a career, hasn't really found themselves, and you've done everything. So, is this gonna work for you to lock this person down into a marriage when they aren't even fully who they need to be or who they think they should be at this time? Is this really good for you or her? And at this point, Sean is fighting for the relationship and saying, I'm just going to trust that this is going to work out. We're just going to see how things go. And he's like, okay. Is what Alfred says. He's like, okay. He's like, just take my word for it. Sean is that type of friend that, his word is final. That's what I was feeling. And don't give him any problems or any trouble with it. We'll see how this goes forward. I don't know. All right, and now Stevie and Maddie is right after their engagement. I would say maybe the next day. And he's kind of pushing up the marriage date, the wedding date. And they're talking about that. And the dad walking her down the aisle. And she kind of asked him, how did it go? We're talking to dad about it. And he's like, well, I guess you say he kind of gave you a blessing-ish, and it was a blessing-ish, because I was confused at the time because I didn't really get a resounding response, but he was like okay, but not yeah. So for her, she said she must have her dad walk her down the aisle, or she doesn't think she could get married. Her dad is sick and all of that, so she really wants to do this while he's still here. So they go together back to after their nice little engagement trip. They go meet dad at looks like his mechanic shop. They show the ring off to dad. And dad's like, okay, well, do you think it's too fast? That he does tell us, not directly, but tells, us, not them, that there are some red flags, but he does say good luck to them. And he did agree to walk her down the aisle if that's what she really wanted. So they, she tells him to shake her dad's hand, I guess because he doesn't know protocol. And he said, love you, Dad. And she kind of hugs her dad, and she looks a lot like her dad. I think that's really sweet that they have that type of bond and relationship. But dad is still, unsure, and I get it. But he gave a blessing-ish. Okay, so they go check out a wedding venue because, they're speeding this wedding up. And I know he originally wanted to do that anyway because it would have been cheaper. It would be cheaper for them to pay for the K-1 visa and all of that if they do the wedding sooner than later. So they're checking out a venue with her friend Claire. And he's not feeling that great because he had pork for the first time and he got sick. Was it pork belly? I don't think I've ever even had pork belly. But, he said he wanted to try some new things. She was like, I don't even know why you did it. And honestly, I'm saying, I don't know why you did it either. There's lots of people in America that don't eat pork. You didn't have to try it. But he said for him, it's the first and last time that he's going to have pork. It's a cultural thing in his culture that, pigs are considered to be nasty, and that's basically why they don't eat pork. But I guess his stomach is telling him all this time in life, I guess his body never got acclimated to pork, so his body's telling him no pork for you as well. Moving the wedding up is kind of stressful. It's kind of short notice, but they're going to do what they're going to do. His family won't be involved due to their culture. I think that the friend Claire was asking, are they going to FaceTime? And he's saying, if they see drinks or anything like that, they're going to not be happy with it. So they're just not going to be included at all. And then the friend Claire asks, are you going to have any of your paintings integrated into the wedding at all? And that's when she reveals, hey, to Maddie that, hey, I painted my friend nude. Now, the friend, she does have a husband and a kid. So, but that still rubbed Maddie the wrong way that she painted her friend naked in person, who's also a female, but he's kind of disturbed by it. And he doesn't really know what to say after everything is revealed about it. And he does ask, were they in person? And that was like his biggest issue, because he said he knew that she did paintings, but people would send her pictures and she would duplicate the pictures with her own artistic style or whatever. But he didn't know that she was doing any of these things in person. So he's taking this as a sexual situation. As I don't know how she feels about it, because I feel like, for me, is this a hobby? Is this a job? Because if you are a fine arts painter and this is your job, then I would say, okay, this is her job, and I wouldn't have any issue with it. But it's almost like if you're doing exotic dancing and that's your job, that's something totally different. I'm not going to put those two in the same realm, but I'm going to say that a job is a job, and it's not like she's doing it for pleasure. If it is just a hobby, if she's selling the paintings, it sounds like if people are sending her pictures, obviously they are paying for that work. They're not just going to randomly send someone pictures. So this is like getting money for her, and it's not just for her own pleasure, and it's not just a hobby for fun, but it's something, I don't know if it's a little bit of both, I don't know, but it sounds like she's getting money for this. But he's taking this as, oh, is she into women? So his attitude cut short, his vibe totally went down. So Stevie was like, I don't want this to be a situation. So they were like, okay, well, thanks guys, we're out of here. She's kind of doing it like in a matter of fact way, like we kind of gotta go, goodbye, to make it less weird. And then the friend is like, well, she's hoping that Maddie doesn't kind of act weird. Since he's acting weird about this, he's gonna start controlling what she wears and put more clothes on. I'm sorry, Stevie barely doesn't even dress any type of way. I mean, she almost is completely covered anyway. She does not even dress in any type of way for me to have that concern. But you can be surprised in some of these cultures that sometimes they don't even want your arm to show. So I see her lower arm showing. I haven't really seen her dress that type of way. But anyway, it's kind of funny how people will stereotype just because he's from a Muslim country. I feel like she kind of stereotyped the fact that he would possibly try to control what she wears. That's your only concern, ma'am? It kind of sounds stereotypy to me. But anyway, the way she dresses, I don't feel like that would actually infringe any issue, unless maybe he wanted her to wear a hijab, which that's what you wear on your head. I don't know if she'd do that. But anyway, he said basically, you're okay with hiding this from me? And she's like, no, I didn't hide it from you because I don't think it's anything wrong with it. It wasn't a secret. So he goes back to ask her that question, are you bisexual? And like, because I don't want to, basically later in life, he tells us this, while we're married and you're asking you want a woman, and it's something that I can't give you. So it's my culture, it's against my culture, but it's also me, like, how do I deal with somebody like that? And I need to know if that's what I'm dealing with. And she basically is always giving him vague answers when it comes to that question. She's like, you're overreacting. I'm not really going to answer this for you. But he says, he needs to know who he's marrying, or they need to postpone the wedding. And he's like, straight up, can you just tell me? And she's like, yeah, I know. Like, basically she's saying she's not going to tell him. And she doesn't think it's a big deal. He's overreacting. And to me, I do think it's a big deal. This is kind of like the second time it came up. It's a major issue. And if she's not, why can't she just say that? Does she think that she's going to lose him if she says that? Or if she has those feelings or thoughts, I think that she needs to bring that into the forefront, or just say she doesn't have those feelings or thoughts. I don't really know what the big deal is. Just say what you feel and who you are, or in who you're not. What's the big deal? It is what it is. It isn't what it isn't. Reassure your man that, he's going to be good. She's like, well, why are you asking me that? Because we're in a committed relationship together. Why would you even ask me? Because, it kind of is a valid question, and this keeps coming up. So I don't see the problem with her just straight up telling him they've gotten engaged. You're looking at their wedding venue right now. This is a great time to squash any questions or any issues that you guys might have before the wedding actually comes to pass in a couple of weeks. Just answer the man's question. What is the big deal? This day and age we live in now, everybody's talking about all of these different sexualities and fluidities and all this. If you're going to be what you're going to be or feel what you're going to feel, just be honest with him, so he doesn't have to wonder and he doesn't have to feel like he's competing. I feel like if it was me in that situation, whatever I was feeling, I would try to calm that person down. She's acting like he's overreacting. To me, she's like kind of like she doesn't care what he thinks. She has an attitude with him. I feel like the way she's putting these walls up in this moment, that she does have something to hide. And what do you guys think? Do you think it's okay for her to keep just pushing this issue aside, saying he's overreacting? Or do you think she could just straight up tell him what's up? Like, what would you do? Thoughts, comments, questions. Love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this episode? You guys can email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. That's cbiztv@yahoo.com. We'll talk again. More faith, love, and trends. All the best. God bless. This is Irene.